We are here looking at the Carolina Panthers, the most disappointing or worst team, offensively at least, in the league last year. I think they averaged like 12.5 points per game or something. It was pretty bad. And that is reflected in the fantasy ADP currently. PSA, keep in mind, we are recording this July 4th. Happy 4th of July. But you're not going to be seeing this till maybe August. So if major thing has happened, an injury or whatever, keep that in mind. And we're jumping into it with these Panthers. Again, it's reflected in the ADP. The earliest that one of a Panther player is going is round 7. So that's the earliest that any Panther player is currently being drafted.
And don't tell me it's Jonathan Brooks.
It's not Jonathan Brooks. It's Deontay Johnson, which we'll get to there. But we're going to start off with the quarterback. Not a whole lot to talk here because no one's going to be taking Bryce Young in a redraft one quarterback league. Maybe if he turns it around, you'll pick him up off waivers, but no one's going to be drafting him. As you can see here, he technically has an ADP. He's going in round 14. Now, when it comes to your draft in August, is someone going to be taking Bryce Young? I doubt it, unless they're a Panthers fan. He averaged 10.4 points per game last year, which is really bad. Now, can he turn it around? Of course. He has a coach that helped turn around Geno Smith, helped turn around Baker Mayfield. So maybe he can do the same for Bryce Young. But again, even if he does, what are we expecting? Top 15 at best? Like, we're not expecting a top 12 guy, I don't think. That would be a pretty big jump. So, I mean, is there really anything to say about Bryce Young, Dad? I mean, Dynasty's different, Superflex is different, but one quarterback redraft is.
I mean, let's face it. We had 1 year of him. It was sad, and there's all sorts of reasons for it, and all sorts of excuses. Wide receivers, running game, whatever, but
Coach
nothing
gets fired.
Huh?
Coach gets fired.
Yeah, and it's the team's not well run, I'd say, from the ownership point of view, and little instability. So, wow, if he's a top 15, that means, and that's an assumption that we're talking. I mean, things that would have really turned around, but they've drafted some young people. Let's see, they got some new pass catchers, and let's see if it all shakes out into something.
Yeah, and it could. I still have faith in Bryce Young and being a good quarterback. And, like he was the number 1 overall pick. Very similar to what Trevor Lawrence did year 1. Trevor Lawrence threw for a bit more yards, but Trevor Lawrence was horrendous. He was 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, averaged 12.7 fantasy points per game his rookie year. Obviously in that bad situation, Urban Meyer, blah, blah, blah. And then the next year, Trevor Lawrence was QB 14 in points per game, averaged almost just under 18 points a game. So, like, we could see a leap there. Like, again, it's just going to be one of those things. Like, I don't recommend drafting him unless you play in Superflex. So, maybe he'll be a waiver wire streamer some point in the season. But, he could potentially give you something with his legs. He averaged 16 yards a game. I could see him rushing for like 20 yards a game potentially. So, and they had a horrendous offensive line. Their best receiver was Adam Thielen, who's ancient at this point for NFL standards. He's 33 years old. He'll be 34 before the season starts.
He's still there.
He is still there, yeah, which we'll talk a little bit about. So, well, we'll move on from Bryce Young, and we will talk about Jonathan Brooks, who's the first running back for this team being drafted. Is the rookie, was 40th or 45th overall pick in the draft, the first running back off the draft board. Again, he's I'd say most of the time the first rookie running back is going to be drafted earlier than this. He's currently round 8 as RB27. This is half PPR ADP. So round 8, RB27, which isn't terrible for a rookie running back that could potentially have the entire role. Now, this could go up. I could see this increasing if he's out there in preseason and playing and looking pretty good. This could easily move up a couple rounds, I would say. Around 8, Dad, are you in on him as potentially your RB3, Jonathan Brooks, or are you still worried about the ACL?
Well, of course, I was just going to say the guy had first off, he had one good year at the University of Texas, and then he hurt his knee. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of assumptions here again, but, the running back room is quite crowded in Carolina, but somebody's going to bust out, and it could be Jonathan Brooks. I think he hurt his knee kind of late in the year too, didn't he?
Yeah, it was
November, October. That's
Yeah, he played in 11 games last year. So he got hurt. His last game he played was November 11th. So okay. That's when he tore it.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, what's his progress, he's full go for training camp or something. I'd find that a little I'm not sure, but if you want to take a chance and you feel like you on your redraft team, he's been drafted dynasty, he was drafted very, very high in the dynasty. There was only two running backs, I think, that were considered very good or something like that. I don't know. Round 8 in a redraft, I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I'm okay with it. I mean, if you just think about most leagues, right? You're starting 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, and then of course kicker and defense. But those main 7 positions there. So essentially, like if you play in a standard league like that, even if you play in a 3 wide receiver league, he's like basically you're drafting him to go put on your bench. Like he's your first bench guy, or he is your last flex player or something. So I'm okay with it in that sense. Round 8, rookie running back. Look at what Rachaad White did in the Dave Canales offense last year. Like Rachaad White was awesome, and I think Jonathan Brooks could be that. Now, maybe a slow start. So when he starts creeping up potentially into the 6th round, well, the same concerns we had with guys like Bryce Hall and Javonte Williams were the major injuries. And Bryce Hall looked good, but not maybe what his potential is. Javonte Williams looked terrible, right? And generally, the first season off an ACL, you don't look that great. It's just that's the track record. There's exceptions, of course, but so you have to keep that in mind. So when he starts creeping up into like maybe round 6 or early round 7, I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant. But round 8, I'm okay with taking it and throwing him on my bench, maybe not having to use him for the first month, and then hopefully he takes over and he's a potential league winner. I mean, just looking at some of the running backs that are going around him, you have like guys like Jalen Warren, Zach Moss, Tony Pollard, Raheem Mostert. So, I mean, you can make an argument for all those guys. You can also make the argument that, like, besides maybe like Mostert, that Jonathan Brooks has the most like league-winning upside. Like Jalen Warren's going to kind of do what he does. Tony Pollard could be in a split backfield, So I'm fine with taking the chance there. I did make a little graphic here for Chuba Hubbard. He's the next running back being drafted. ADP 153rd, round 13, as RB 49, and he's kind of interesting to me. Like if I do get Jonathan Brooks, I think I might want to pair him with Chuba Hubbard if I can. I'm not going to force it, but if I can, I would be okay with that, just to kind of have that backfield, because I do think that backfield is going to be pretty good. Top 20 good. So Chuba Hubbard last year, he kind of took over the job from Miles Sanders, and he was actually pretty good. I don't think people realize. You see his overall numbers there, 9.6 half PPR points isn't that great, but from week 12 on, he was the RB9 last year and averaged 13.3 half PPR points per game. So he was pretty good. He had only one game of not double-digit points, and that was at 9.1. So
Probably the only positive thing going on with the Carolina offense there for a little while.
yeah. So he could be one of those, like, you have a nice player for the first month because they're going to ease Jonathan Brooks in, and then you kind of have a high-end handcuff if Jonathan Brooks does take over. So are you kind of in on Chuba Hubbard? Do you think he's going to have a nice little maybe September start and could be a flex-worthy player that you're getting in round 13?
Yeah, I would. I would think I like what you just said. September start. If Brooks is not playing, or we'll have to see. We'll have to see what training camp's like and everything else. So, but Chuba, he shouldn't. Hopefully, they don't kick him to the curb or something.
No, I don't think they will. I mean, the way I look at it, because no one gets excited about 4 weeks of a flex player. Just think about when you're in the middle of the season and a player goes down and you say, "Oh, like this running back went down, he's going to be out 3 weeks, 4 weeks." Everyone goes and picks up the backup, right? Because oh yeah, I get 3 weeks. You can kind of piece together a season. Like, all right, I use Chuba Hubbard for 4 weeks, and then I use, name this player that we don't even know who's going to be in October, and you kind of piece it together and it works. So round 13, you're not risking much. You're coming near the end of your draft. So, and we've seen what he's kind of capable of if he does get the full workload. So Miles Sanders, we'll mention his name. He's being drafted 255th overall. So if you do the math, that means if you play into round 22, then he's being drafted. Most people play 16, 17, 18 rounds. He's in round 22. So just throwing that out there. I don't know. He might be cut. He might be traded if anyone wants to trade for him. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's cut, even though they'll take on some dead cap, but they might just kind of move on. Or I don't know.
That's too bad. He started off last year in training camp. I thought he had all, like hamstring problems or calf problems, or
yeah, he did.
There was something nagging, and it just kind of, I'm looking at his game log, the first 4 games, 3 carries, 2 carries, 6 carries. It's like, man, dude, that's just not. They paid him a lot of money, of course, and it didn't happen. So
no. It just shows you, like, just because you get a contract, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, doesn't necessarily mean it's all going to work out.
That's right.
So, Miles Sanders was pretty good. He was a solid low-end RB2 for basically his career. Like, he averaged, before last year, he didn't average less than 4.6 yards per carry. 4.6, 5.3, 5.5, 4.9. He caught 50 passes one year. Like, he was RB16 in 2022. It's just, he started off injured, lost his job to Chuba Hubbard. So, and now you have a new coaching staff in there who didn't pay him. So, I don't know if there's much to say there. Deontay Johnson, we mentioned it. He is the highest player for the Panthers being drafted, age 28. He's going 76th overall in round 7 as wide receiver 38. So he's just outside of a wide receiver 3. He's potentially being drafted as your wide receiver 4. You see his numbers there. 2021 was awesome. 13.8 half PPR points per game. He was wide receiver 10 in points per game. 2022, it went down. I don't think he caught a touchdown that year. He was 8.1, and then last year 9.8. Obviously playing with Kenny Pickett and guys like that. So is Deontay Johnson, like, are you ever excited about drafting Deontay Johnson? Because I'm never excited about it.
I'm not. He's not in my he's
go ahead.
This is just me. He's not on my radar. So of I don't know. I guess we expected a lot in Pittsburgh and or something, and it's just, I don't know. Excited, no. Should he be the team's wide receiver number one? Yeah, you would think that right now. The Panthers, there's a
Yeah.
rookie. Was it Leggett?
Yeah.
That we're going to talk about, but
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. But that being said, like Deontay Johnson had from 2020 to 2022, 3 straight years of over 140 targets, 144, 169, 147. Last year he had 87 in 13 games. That's 115 target pace. Like that's good target numbers. So like the possibility for him is there. I just don't know what his upside is, I guess. Like I don't expect them to score a lot of touchdowns. And I don't expect Deontay Johnson, even if they do have an average offensive year, to be a big touchdown guy. He's kind of never been a big touchdown guy. I mean, he had 7 and 8, his second and third year, but 5 over the last 2. Yeah, I don't know. Let me ask you, do you want Deontay Johnson or Christian Watson?
Well, yeah, a healthy Christian Watson for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Deontay Johnson or Jordan Addison, who maybe have JJ McCarthy as his quarterback, a rookie.
Oh boy. Well, I was going to say Addison until you threw the caveat in there, but
yeah, that's kind of where he's going. Like Rashee Rice is going right above Deontay. Would you take Deontay Johnson or Rashee Rice on a 4-game suspension?
Probably. Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard. All those guys, you're kind of in that range of like, I guess, it's Ladd McConkey, Xavier Worthy, Roma Dunze, 3 rookies that we don't know what to expect. JSN, is he going to take a step? I don't know. Like Deontay Johnson seems to be the safest out of all those players that I mentioned. Like if I had to put money on who has who averages 10 half PPR points, only one of them averages 10 half PPR points and the others are under 10, I'd put it on Deontay Johnson over Christian Watson, over Addison, McConkey, Worthy, Odunze. But he just doesn't have the upside of those guys. Those guys could be, especially guys like Christian Watson, maybe JSN and stuff like that. They could be kind of league winners. So that's kind of where we're at with him. Adam Thielen, I didn't make a graphic here. He's going around 13 now. Once again, he's going to be 34 years old. I know he was good for a stretch last year. That being said, I don't even know how much you got out of it because no one was starting Adam Thielen week 1 and he sucked. No one was starting in week 2 and he was good. Maybe you started in week 3 or you're like, I want to see it 2 times in a row. Okay, so you didn't start him the first 3 weeks. Then you start him in week 4. He had 11.7 points. Week 4, 5, and 6, he was good. And then after that, he really wasn't good. So, he was good last year. He was 1,000-yard receiver and stuff. But, really, how much did we get out of him in terms of starting? Maybe 3-4 games. And then the rest were kind of disappointment. So, if you had to choose Deontay Johnson in round 7 or Adam Thielen in round 13, are you choosing Deontay or Thielen?
I'd be looking at Thielen. I mean, and I know his numbers, if you look at games, he had some really sorry games, but got 103 passes last year, so I don't know. I mean, that's got to count for something.
Yeah, and he has that connection, and it's just does Deontay make him a little redundant? I guess that's my only worry. It's kind of that possession receiver.
Yeah, the same type of receiver.
Yeah, and it's a new coaching staff, and they obviously targeted Deontay. They trade for him. So they could just say you're going to be what Adam Thielen was for this offense because you're younger and better, So yeah, I don't know. I get again round 13. Take a shot. I think I'd rather just take a shot on Xavier Leggett, also going in round 13 for 8 spots after Adam Thielen. So essentially, Adam Thielen's beginning around 13. Leggett's near the end. I'll take a shot on the rookie, who I kept saying it during our Dynasty rookie season. besides the top guys, Adunze, Marvin Harrison, Neighbors, Leggett might have the biggest ceiling of all these players, of McConkey, Pearsall, Jalen Poole, Keon Coleman. Leggett might have the biggest ceiling because the dude is big, fast, and strong. And you get one or two of those things. You normally don't get all three. Like, this guy runs a 4.33. He's like 225 pounds. He can jump out the building. So, like, I think I'd just rather take a shot on him than go for 34-year-old Adam Thielen. Do you feel the same way? Or
I
don't have expectations?
Well, in a redraft, I'm gonna probably go with Thielen. If I'm gonna, and Dynasty, we know this guy in Dynasties on people's rosters and stuff like that. So
yeah. See, I'm the opposite. I'd go Leggett just for the upside because I'm like, all right, is Thielen really gonna am I gonna be starting him consistently and winning with Thielen? Like, I don't think so. Like, maybe I can throw Thielen in there to give me 9 points in a bye week, but whereas Leggett, it's like I'm gonna hold him, see what he does the first 3 weeks. He does nothing, I'll drop him and move on, type of thing. So, Jonathan Mingo. Again, like, we're not very excited about Carolina in general. Like, now we're talking about potentially their wide receiver 4. Not really excited there. I think I had to look it up. Terrace Marshall is still there. Like, he's no longer good. Cut him from your dynasty if you have him, dynasty team. And then really, there's not much at tight end either. Like, Tommy Tremble is considered the tight end 1. They drafted Jatavian Sanders in round 4, who I kind of like, but he's a rookie tight end. I don't expect on a bad team. Like, I don't expect much from him in year 1. So anything on those tight ends?
Tremble, I think Sanders. Jatavian Sanders is kind of interesting and stuff like that. And
but are you going to draft him, or is he going to be like, oh, he did well, let me pick him up?
Yeah, no, it's a guy I'm going to pay attention to and stuff like that. Draft him,
You don't have to, by the way.
No, I probably not.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how his rookie year ends up and stuff like that. Young quarterbacks, they usually have a tight end that they can rely on. That makes them a little better and stuff like that. And we'll see. He was some of his college video. I remember looking at him when we were scouting, and the guy looked pretty good, really.
No, for sure. But it's like we got to temper our expectations about rookie tight ends. I know Laporta came in and looked awesome, but like even a Dalton Kincaid, right? This first round pick on one of the best offenses in the league compared with Josh Allen, he put up 673 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, now we're talking about a 4th round pick on a bad offense. Like, we really got to temper our expectations there. So, I just, keep an eye on him, but you don't even have to draft him. He's going around 18, which is just outside of draftable. So, but that's it for the Panthers. Kind of ugly, but hopefully we get some surprises with either Jonathan Brooks or Bryce Young or something like that. We'll be back talking about the Chicago Bears, which is an interesting team to talk about. So we'll be back in that video in YouTube world. It will be tomorrow. Catch you guys then.